Again, this is Affordable Learning Solutions and Institutional Strategy for Student Success. And this is part two. We had an earlier one and kind of an overview, and now we're looking at making campus affordability issues a priority. And what are some of the tools that you can get started with right away? So today we're going to cover these topics. Little introduction. We're going to Rich Foley from Xanadu is going to give a little introduction too. I'll do as well. And then we'll get into what are think about the framework that you need to bring into your institution to make sure you can have an initiative that will be successful. And of course, we'll answer questions and then we'll highlight some of what you can do next. And as an overview today, I'll just say, if you're thinking about how do I reduce the cost of course materials for my students to make their education more affordable, and I'll go through a lot of evidence about how that the cost of course materials can have an impact on student retention, student success in their classes, students' number of units per semester that they take. All these factors lead to student success at your institution. Now, to make that change, it's not a simple process. It really takes a village. It takes many partners and allies on your institution, and we'll talk about how to build those bridges between those partners. Change management, to think about how faculty choose content. There are habits that we all have, and how do you manage that change process so it can be successful? And also always understanding what is affordability for our students and how you can really create solutions that are learning solutions that are affordable for our students. So I'll be leading the webinar here. My name is Jerry Hanley. I've been the executive director of Merlot and Skills Commons. Both of these are open educational resource libraries. Merlot, we're hitting our 25th year. Skills Commons, we're coming up on our 8th year, I think. Yep, eight years. I do usability testing, and a lot of my experience I'm going to talk about today as a recovering administrator. I've recently retired as Assistant Vice Chancellor and Senior Director for Academic Technology for the California State University System. And in that role for about 20 years, we spent a good deal of effort to find ways to reduce the cost of educational content for our students. And I'll talk about the efforts that we put in place and the outcomes that we've achieved, so you can see that this is really possible for you to do as well. And I'm currently working with a partner in publishing, and again, an organization that's trying to build the bridges between our academic institutions and our commercial providers who are essential for enabling higher education to be successful. And next, I'm going to pass it over to Rich Foley to give an introduction. And I'll just say, Rich has been a leader in higher education in content areas for many years in many ways. And in all my interactions with Rich, he really understands, what higher education is trying to do, is accomplishing, and how it does its work. So Rich, let me pass it over.
Thanks so much, Jerry. One thing I appreciate in the way you just opened this and the way you speak about the future success of creating affordable learning solutions is all about partnerships and your emphasis on partnerships. Here at Xanadu, everything we've really done and how we've grown has always revolved around partnering. Whether it was partnering with faculty, with libraries, with administrations, with bookstores, with our students, with our overall communities. That's how we have been successful, and that's how we continue to view success in the future. That's one of the reasons we are absolutely, so excited to be a part of this webinar series with Partners in Publishing and with you, Jerry, and with the great people that are on this call. Our mission at Xanadu is to provide high quality, affordable, accessible learning materials. The world has changed due to COVID. We need to be creative. We need to be flexible. And, in order to do that, whether you're a commercial enterprise such as us or, a higher education institution, we need to partner is the way we feel. And we feel that partnering going forward will be able to bring us all the success that we need in lowering the cost to students while still maintaining a high level of academic integrity. We can deliver with you and partnering with you materials digitally, print, customized in any fashion, but most importantly, we'll give it to you in a manner that your students, your faculty, your all your constituencies are able to be proud of and to succeed using. So with that, I look forward, I turn it back over to Jerry and say thanks for, I'm very excited to participate as a Xanadu in these in this exciting series.
Great. Thank you, Rich. And folks, if you're not familiar with Xanadu, Xanadu has been a partner on campuses for many years. I don't know the exact number of years, but because
20
of
years.
20, yeah, right. And so you learn a lot when you partner with people for so long. So and that's really one of the tremendous values that I've found working with Xanadu and some of their new strategies that I think will be really helpful for higher education. So we're going to start off when you're thinking about if you at your institution would like to implement an affordable learning solutions, that is looking at how you can reduce the cost of educational content and make it right, not just affordable, but learning solutions that enable students to succeed. You have to begin with understanding what are the key priorities for your campus, because we're all overwhelmed with so many different things. So the way you can kind of integrate affordable learning solutions into your campus and have it become an action item is how do you tie it with a strategic purpose that your president, your provost, your board of trustees are really pushing your institution. So, here's a few of them here. Is your campus trying to improve your students' graduation rates? I could say at the Cal State system, I'm just thinking about 5 years ago, there was a deal cut with the state legislators to say, we'll provide funding if you improve your 4-year and your 6-year graduation rate. And we were down at 19% as a 4-year graduation rate, and the target was 40%. That's a huge change. Now, if you can contribute to improving the graduation rates of your students, that's something that your whole campus can get behind and bringing the partners to make that happen. Or are you trying to increase enrollment, make college more attractive to your institution? And with COVID, recent data showing in community colleges, over 3% decrease in enrollment in our community colleges. Now, 3% doesn't sound like much, but it's a huge number of students. So if you can say, we can make your college more affordable by providing you free and low-cost access to all the materials required for you to be successful, that's really great. It can be more attractive. And many of our state legislators, and I think latest count it's in the high 30s, are requiring institutions to have textbook affordability programs. So all thinking about all these different priorities that already exist, how do you kind of get on the tailcoats and ride that priority and help that priority be achieved? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, beginning with what's affordable for your students and really talk about that. And some of the things you want to look at is what percent of your students are Pell eligible? What percent are on financial aid? Okay. And those factors become really important for driving faculty to change if they understand that in the Cal State system, almost 50% of our students are Pell eligible, which means that their families cannot afford to send their children to college. So how, with financial aid, can those students complete their degree in an affordable way? And you can make that happen by reducing those costs. All right, and what's the effect of textbook affordability on graduation in a timely manner? And the final point on this slide really is that no one can do this by themselves. It really takes an institutional strategy, a partnership strategy, to have that significant impact. And you can, and I'll provide some, again, case studies to show you how that can work. So the issue around affordability and access to graduation, access and graduation. In 2018, and this is the Florida Virtual Campus every 2 years has done an assessment, and with COVID, I haven't seen the latest one out there, but one of the things you can see here is that students, and this is over 20,000 students, said about 43% of the students say, I take fewer courses because of the cost of textbooks, right? Now, if you're trying to increase the number of units per semester, reducing the cost of your course materials can make it more affordable for them to take the courses and therefore graduate in the timely manner. In the Cal State system, we had the number of units per semester was about 12.9 units per semester, and they need to take 15, right? So they need to get one more course, a little bit less on the average. And so by reducing the cost, we can make a dent in taking more units per semester. Retention, if you're failing or you're getting a poor grade and you have to repeat and delete that class because you couldn't afford the textbook and you try to make your way through it, that can reduce retention and, again, increase time to graduation. So all these factors can look at how does textbook affordability connect to important returns on your investment in the ALS program. So these are things that you can do. All right. And now just going to give a case study. As I mentioned, I was working in a leadership role in the Cal State system for about 20 years. And in 2010, we launched the Affordable Learning Solutions with a Board of Trustees presentation. And back then, we said, okay, if we have about 500,000 students per semester in the CSU, and if we could save them $100 per semester about the cost of a medium new textbook, all right, medium cost new textbook, that translates into $100 million every year. And as someone who's worked with state legislators to try to get more funding for higher education, getting $1 million every year in student financial aid is an impossible task. But how could we do it? Is this really possible? And now I'll just give you some data here. Whoop, I just hit the wrong button. Sorry, folks. All right. So in 2021, the Cal State system, through partnerships with a variety of open education resource strategies, library strategies, partnerships with commercial providers, working with our bookstores, produced a $77 million savings for our students. By working with all these partners, and especially our faculty development centers, our academic senates, to develop an institutional strategy that saved $77 million. Now you can see that it takes a while for things to develop over time, right? But the outcomes are substantial. Now, of course, Cal State is the largest higher ed system, four-year higher ed system in the U.S. Oh, hang on, sorry. Just having a little problem. I apologize here, folks. So now how do we really achieve that outcome? And when we say it takes an institutional strategy, it takes partnerships to make this happen. So here's a little framework for you to think about. And this is what we've been using. And it's the ABCs of affordable learning solution strategy. So in the A's, aggregating assets, right? Realizing who are all the people, the organizations that are available that together you can work. And the next slide will be the list, but think about your libraries, your bookstores, your faculty development centers, your academic technology services, your academic centers, all the people that we talked about. Who will be your allies becomes really important. Now, in higher education, one of our challenges, many of these potential allies don't work well together. And often they can, but no one has spent the time to build bridges to say, how can we collaborate together in making an outcome achievable? And this includes not only your internal organizations, but external or commercial providers can also help do that. If you think about our libraries, we have all our internal capabilities, but our libraries are partnering with commercial providers to bring all those collections to the table. Our bookstores partner with many commercial providers to bring all those textbooks and resources to the bookstores. So there's always these partnerships, and how do you strengthen those? Then the C's, creating capabilities. Now, once you build bridges between organizations, technology can kind of make it easy for people to cross those bridges, to integrate the access to that educational content and deliver them within your learning management systems and ease that burden of all this work to find quality materials that are affordable. Now, these first three levels, the ABCs, are kind of what you're building in an institution to make something available. And then developing demand, this is when you want someone to want all these innovations that you're bringing to the table. And this is where your communications, your training, your professional development, your support services, right? How do you support faculty discovering alternative content, curating that content? And it can be from internal resources, right? You might have instructional designers, reference librarians, your bookstore, and there are external sources, commercial providers. And I'll just say, for example, Xanadu brings instructional designers to help you support the creation of your affordable learning solutions. So again, partners can help you support the wanting to change with the support they need to be successful. And at the top, the enabling of the ecosystems, what are the policies that you put in place? So this is working with your academic senate, your leadership, your provost and your president, by articulating these priorities that can bring your students more successful, and working with your bookstore and business models and commercial providers and your libraries, different ways to fund the cost of educational content. And people are being much more creative now. So this, if you're looking for kind of a framework of how you have to think about bringing affordable learning, here's the ABCDEs, right? That can guide a strategy for you to develop. And I'm going to highlight some of these here. You know, I've talked about these already, all the different stakeholder groups that you can bring together. And this then can become part of a shared governance process, and what's important to a shared recognition of how everyone contributes to this. And you can create your Affordable Learning Solutions Committee to be that shared governance and shared recognition process. And one of the things I'm going to encourage that's really, I find really required, is you need a mayor of that community, of that village. And having someone who is the campus coordinator, the campus manager, however you want to, the campus steward of your affordable learning solutions, having that key person to help bring things together becomes really important. So that's the first step, to think about who are the allies that you could bring together, and there really are many. Now, once you bring people together where they may not have been collaborating together, you have to begin to build these pathways for collaboration, and a change management process is really helpful to make this happen. And here are a few steps that becomes very important. One is raise awareness around these affordable learning solutions issues. And it's amazing how often one part of your institution may know, oh, we have in Cal State system, 49% of the Pell eligible are students that we have in our institution. And in some of our campuses, like at Cal State Dominguez Hills, over 85% of our students are on financial aid. Many times your faculty don't know that information and to realize how important affordability is. And when you tie it to the needs of students, I find faculty respond to that need. That's why they're there. Why are they a professor engaged in the instruction of their discipline? And that can lead to inspiring a desire for change. And that, because people often say, well, faculty don't want to change. Faculty are there to make that change. That's what learning is all about. That's why they're teaching. So if you can tie into that desire to help your students be successful by getting them to understand the affordability needs of your students, faculty will step up to the plate. Then the next part, developing that project plan. Someone wants to do something. Now, how can you develop a project plan, an institutional strategy where their motivation can now be executed by making change? And this is where partnering with all your organizations, internal and external, become very important. And then supporting the implementation with training and professional development. And the last thing, in any of your planning process, you gotta celebrate accomplishments. When I distribute funding to support affordable learning solutions, one of the requirements, you gotta throw a party at the end to celebrate the people who put that effort in and created those efforts. And those can be where your provosts and presidents simply hand out certificates of accomplishments where faculty save students significant funding by changing to more affordable learning solutions. And here, if you want to look for examples of how this has happened, here's the Cal State system. It's affordablelearningsolutions.calstate.edu. And so we have each campus has their own unique way that doing it. So there's not a one size fits all. And I'll just say, people think that each Cal State system is cookie cutter. And my line is, if you've been to one Cal State, you've been to one Cal State. And I'm sure it's the same thing in all your other campuses. They're unique qualities, so you can go there. We've also worked with HBCUs and in implementing their affordable learning solutions. And each one of those provides a portal, again, to make it easy for them to find the affordable learning solutions, to showcase the faculty and how they are making changes. And also what's important is what are the tools that are right for those institutions. So we're bringing all these resources that are available that you can look at what other people have done to do this. And now I just want to show you, this is one of the other things very excited about, is you have the internal management of a strategy, but your external partners, such as Xanadu's, they have a flex ed. And look at this, and at Cal State, I'll highlight this one, is where in a single course, when you could look at moving from materials that can save 23,000 students, $23,000, right? A cost $35 per student, significant change when you're thinking about biology courses, which often have, $200+ book. And in over a period of time, $300,000, right? This is a lot of material and this is just one course. And Xanadu makes it easy They lighten the burden for faculty to find these alternatives and create customized resources by leveraging OpenStax, you have to have a change management process, but you got to have a project management process. And this is going to be something that I'm going to talk about a bit more on the next webinar, getting more into details about really implementation, but what work you're going to do, who's going to do it, when are you going to schedule it, and what resources. And again, want to emphasize commercial providers can provide a critical resource to help you. In a sense, Xanadu can help you discover those OER, integrate them into a custom tool so you achieve the learning outcomes for your students at very affordable prices. So here, we got cut off at the top of this, but this is some of the things when we're looking at project planning about communication, training, and professional development. We'll get into more detail in the next webinar about these. So, and the next webinar, February 10th, we'll talk about the 5 strategies in more detail. And if you want to get started with FlexEd today, the Senior Vice President, Xanadu, Rich Foley, is here to work with you. Ask questions, think about how all this works, and understand the importance, I think, not only of using and leveraging open education resources, but also the customization that you need to make sure your teaching and learning is inclusive for your students. So I hope this was helpful, informative to get you thinking about how you can bring an affordable learning solution strategy to your institution, saving students money and making them more successful in education. So I realize I went a little longer, so I apologize. But now if there's any questions, I'm happy to address those questions. And Rich will be here too. Okay, we got a question from the chat here. Let's see, what would you say to someone who says, you get what you pay for? Can you talk a little bit about how to help someone get on board, concerned about how your campus will control quality and consistency of learning content? Okay, one, all these tools are around, have to be driven by faculty determining the academic outcomes, the learning objectives of their courses, and by reviewing those materials to see how well they are aligned with their teaching and learning outcomes, right? All these things, right, the stuff that I've been doing for many, many years, it is all about enabling faculty to do what they need to do to teach their courses most effectively. They know the content better than anyone else. And what I try to do is give faculty more choice for the academic content that they can use in the class. I'm not trying to restrict the content. Actually, by providing Merlot resources, Skills Commons resources, what many open education libraries are out there, that has dramatically increased in the last 10 years. Just so you know, Merlot right now searches over 75 other open libraries that's faculty produced content that you can now use, okay? So what I'd say is we're not restricting content, but we are providing you more choice so you can see what's affordable, right? And if you find the most important materials is going to cost a little more to achieve the learning outcomes, that's what we're here in education, achieving the learning outcomes. And what I'm saying is there are some more affordable ways to help our students succeed. So thank you for asking that question. And I'll get into that one much more when we get into the third and the fourth webinar. Any other questions there? Okay, hearing none, just so you know, feel free to reach out to Rich Foley. And we are here all as a team working on this effort. So if you have questions afterwards, feel free to reach out, and then we can bring a team of people together to help address your questions. So Rich, did you want to have any closing comments before we, because I realize I'm over 4 minutes already. But.
Yeah, no problem, Jerry. Thank you so much, Jerry. Thank you out to everyone who attended. As Jerry said, we are very interested in helping you even at the smallest level to get a start, because it is about getting these programs started. And if we could help as Xanadu, as an outside commercial partner, happy to help you. But thanks everyone, and look forward to communicating again at webinar 3, if not before.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.